Hello everyone. We are glad to welcome you back to this month's edition of BookKey. In BookKey, we bring to you top book recommendations under 5 different categories that cater to the tastes of a large audience. These categories are Spotlight, where we discuss recently published books that are informative as well as insightful. Hidden Gem, where we unravel to you rare gem of books lost in the annals of time. The Classic Vault, where we look at the evergreen classics which never lose relevance. The Untold, where we lift the veil on lesser known stories and facts about popular books and authors. Top 5, where we suggest to you 5 of the best reading choices from the current bestsellers. This time, in our first section, Spotlight, we bring to you 2 insightful book recommendations, one focusing on the geopolitical situation of India and the other a thrilling insider account of one of the key watershed moments in India's political history. Our first recommendation, India and Asian Geopolitics, The Past Present by Shiv Shankar Menon, published by Ellen Lane, 4.4 stars on Amazon and 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, is an authoritative, comprehensive, and a deeply engaging book in which Menon makes a powerful geopolitical case for India, positively engaging with Asia and the broader world in the pursuit of a pluralistic, open, and inclusive world order. A former Indian Foreign Secretary and National Security Advisor, Shiv Shankar Menon traces India's approach to the shifting regional landscape since its independence in 1947. From its leading role in the non-aligned movement during the Cold War to its current status as a perceived counterweight to China, India often has been an afterthought for global leaders until they realize its importance. Examining India's own policy choices throughout its history, Menon focuses in particular on India's responses to the rise of China as well as other regional powers. Menon also looks to the future and analyzes how India's policies are likely to evolve in response to current and new challenges. As India grows economically and gains new stature across the globe, both its domestic preoccupations and international choices become more significant. Shiv Shankar Menon is a former Foreign Secretary of India and was National Security Advisor to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. He is also the author of Choices: Inside the Making of Indian Foreign Policy. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 315. The other recommendation under this section is an eye-opening insider account of a politically turbulent period Punjab went through between 1978 and 1994, triggered by the rift between Sikhs and Nirankaris and fueled by the operations Blue Star, Woodrose and Black Thunder 1 and 2. This book, titled Turmoil in Punjab, Before and After Blue Star, published by HarperCollins India. Ratings data is not available since the book was published recently in June, is narrated as an eyewitness account by Ramesh Inder Singh, then the District Magistrate of Amritsar and later the Chief Secretary of Punjab. It describes the terrorist violence in Punjab during those years, the state response to the military operations, the death of thousands of innocent citizens, the shocking assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and the subsequent lynching of close to 3,000 Sikhs in the national capital of Delhi, which set in motion a devastating ethno-national movement in Punjab. The book is based on an extensive research and first-hand accounts of those who lived through those volcanic years. It enlightens us on the genesis of the Punjab conflict, the rise of radicalism and the Khalistanis, and the elimination of militancy from the state. Ramesh Inder Singh is a distinguished civil servant of the Punjab cadre and a recipient of the Padma Shri in 1986 for his contributions to public administration. He was the District Magistrate of Amritsar from 1984 to 87 and dealt with the tumultuous situation in Punjab in those years. In his 40-year career, he has held many crucial appointments. He was Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister of Punjab for 5 years, the Chief Secretary of Punjab for more than 2 years, and from that position, he took premature retirement from the IAS in 2009 to serve for 5 years as the Chief Information Commissioner of Punjab. He has also worked with the World Bank as a consultant and currently leads a retired life. Cost of the Kindle edition is rupees 639. In our second section, The Hidden Gem, this month we recommend a deeply engaging and insightful book titled Contagious: Why Things Catch On by Jonah Berger, published by Simon & Schuster, 4.5 stars on Amazon, 4 on Goodreads. What makes things popular? Why do people talk about certain products and ideas more than others? Why are some stories and rumors more infectious? And what makes online content go viral? Wharton marketing professor Jonah Berger has spent the last decade answering these questions. He has extensively researched and studied why products get word of mouth and how social influence shapes everything from the cars we buy to the clothes we wear to the names we give our children. In this book, Berger reveals the secret science behind word of mouth and social transmission. This book provides a set of specific, actionable techniques for helping information spread, for designing messages, advertisements, and information that people will share. Whether you are a manager at a big company, a small business owner trying to boost awareness, a politician running for office, or a health official trying to get the word out, Contagious will show you how to make your product or idea catch on. Here is an excerpt from the book that encapsulates the essence of this book. Contagious products and ideas are like forest fires. They can't happen without hundreds, if not thousands, of regular Joes and Janes passing the product or message along. So, why did thousands of people transmit these products and ideas? And that's where we get to the third point. Certain characteristics make products and ideas more likely to be talked about and shared. You might have thought it was just random. Why some things catch on, that certain products and ideas just got lucky. But it's not just luck, and it's not a mystery. The same key principles drive all sorts of social epidemics. Whether it's about getting people to save paper, see a documentary, try a service, or vote for a candidate, there is a recipe for success. The same 6 principles, or steps, as in STEPPS, drive things to catch on. Social currency. Does talking about your product or idea make people look good? Can you find the inner remarkability? Leverage game mechanics? Make people feel like insiders? T for triggers. Consider the context. What cues make people think about your product or idea? How can you grow the habitat and make it come to mind more often? Emotion. Focus on feelings. Does talking about your product or idea generate emotion? How can you kindle the fire? Public. Does your product or idea advertise itself? Can people see when others are using it? If not, how can you make the private public? Can you create behavioral residue that sticks around even after people use it? Practical value. Does talking about your product or idea help people help others? How can you highlight incredible value, packaging your knowledge and expertise into useful information others will want to disseminate? Stories. What is your Trojan horse? Is your product or idea embedded in a broader narrative that people want to share? Is the story not only viral but also valuable? Jonah Berger is a professor at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, an internationally best-selling author and a world-renowned expert on word-of-mouth, social influence, consumer behavior, and how products, ideas, and behaviors catch on. He has published dozens of articles in top-tier academic journals, teaches Wharton's highest-rated online course, and popular accounts of his work often appear in places like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the Harvard Business Review. Over 1 million copies of his books, Contagious, Invisible Influence, and The Catalyst, How to Change Anyone's Mind, are in print in over 35 countries around the world. Cost of the paperback edition is rupees 999. Moving on to our next section, the Classic Vault. This month we have a heart-rending memoir chronicling the fight for freedom and survival of the author Solomon Northup, 12 Years a Slave. Published by Fingerprint Publishing, 4.4 out of 5 stars on Amazon and 4.2 on Goodreads. The book is an autobiographical account of how Solomon Northup, a free black man in New York in 1841, was deceived, kidnapped, and sold into slavery in Louisiana. For 12 years, he endured the tortuous, degrading inhumanity that was Southern slavery on the bayou until his rescue in 1853. The story is interspersed with detailed descriptions of the slave pens and other institutions of slavery, as well as the life and work on a plantation. Uprooted from anything he had ever grown, Northup tells his story with an astonishing balance of sorrow and objectivity. Despite his violent hatred of the institution of slavery, the regular beatings he receives, and his daily yearning for an opportunity to escape, he never hesitates to point out the frequent acts of kindness that he encounters during his time as a slave. While witness to some of the most cruel and vile acts imaginable, he somehow manages to hold on to his humanity. As the title alludes, a fortuitous combination of events leads to his freedom in 1853 and reunification with his family. The popular and widely acclaimed movie 12 Years a Slave is an adaptation of this book. Cost of the paperback is 103 rupees. The other book under this category is an enlightening book called Start With Why, published by Penguin UK, 4.5 stars on Amazon, 4.1 on Goodreads, number 1 bestseller in entrepreneurship, history of ideas, and political structure and processes, by Simon Sinek. In this book, drawing on a wide range of real-life stories, Sinek weaves together a clear vision of what it truly takes to lead and inspire. In studying the leaders who have had the greatest influence in the world, Simon Sinek discovered that they all think, act, and communicate in the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite of what everyone else does. Sinek calls this powerful idea the Golden Circle, and it provides a framework upon which organizations can be built, movements can be led, and people can be inspired. And it all starts with why. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, and the Wright brothers might have little in common, but they all started with why. It was their natural ability to start with why that enabled them to inspire those around them and to achieve remarkable things. Simon Sinek is the best-selling author of Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, Together is Better, and The Infinite Game, which have helped organizations around the world inspire their people to reach new heights. He has presented his ideas to Fortune 100 companies and small startups, to non-profit organizations and members of Congress, to foreign ambassadors and the highest levels of the US military, among many others. His TED Talk based on Start With Why is the third most popular video of all time on TED.com with more than 35 million views. Simon Sinek is an adjunct staff member of the RAND Corporation, one of the most highly regarded think tanks in the world. He also teaches graduate level strategic communications at Columbia University. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 216. In our next section titled The Untold, this month we bring to you one of the best works of the internationally reputed author Haruki Murakami, Kafka on the Shore, published by RH UK, 4.6 out of 5 stars on Amazon and 4.1 stars on Goodreads. Murakami is widely known for his unique writing style, fictional surrealism, and magical realism. However, not many know that the author is as unique as his literary works. His writing career basically started on a whim, an epiphany at a baseball game, and it quickly turned into one of acclaim. He gained a devoted cult following, and within a decade, his popularity expanded exponentially. Before becoming the award-winning writer we know today, Murakami and his wife ran a small jazz bar for 7 years called Peter Cat. Another interesting fact about the author is that he wasn't an immediate hit amongst English speakers because his early books weren't translated for them. By the time English-speaking fans started clamoring for his work, he didn't like the idea of them reading his first novels. It wasn't until 2015 that they were published in the United States. Murakami doesn't like the idea of him translating his own novels into English despite being a translator himself. In one of his interviews, he revealed that he made a goal for himself in his late 30s to translate The Great Gatsby by age 60 since he hadn't found a version out there that satisfied him. Contrary to his writing style, Murakami experimented with realism in his novel Norwegian Wood, which is one of his best work till date. A key differentiating characteristic of Murakami's writing style is that in his novels, he explores stories without necessarily connecting them to a moral high ground. His writing is not directed at answering the reader's questions, and yet his work absorbs the reader by slowly giving them access to the mind of the characters. Kafka on the Shore is one such tour de force of metaphysical reality which is powered by two remarkable characters: a teenage boy, Kafka Tamura, who runs away from home either to escape a gruesome Oedipal prophecy or to search for his long missing mother and sister, and an aging simpleton called Nakata, who never recovered from a wartime affliction and now is drawn towards Kafka for reasons that, like the most basic activities of daily life, he cannot fathom. Their Odyssey, as mysterious to them as it is to us, is enriched throughout by vivid accomplices and mesmerizing events. There is a brutal murder, with the identity of both victim and perpetrator a riddle. Yet, this, along with everything else, is eventually answered just as the entwined destinies of Kafka and Nakata are gradually revealed, with one escaping his fate entirely and the other given a fresh start of his own. Cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 241. Moving ahead to our last and final section, Top 5, we bring to you our picks from the crossword and Amazon bestsellers across different categories. In non-fiction category, we have Fierce Conversations, Achieving Success in Work and in Life, One Conversation at a Time by Susan Scott, 4.6 stars on Amazon, 4 on Goodreads. Fierce Conversations is a way of conducting business, an attitude, a way of life. Communications expert Suzanne Scott maintains that a single conversation can change the trajectory of a career, marriage, or life. Whether these are conversations with yourself, partner, colleagues, customers, family, or friends, Fierce Conversations shows you how to have conversations that count. Published by Piatkus, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 376. The second book is called Anand, Happiness Without Reason by Acharya Prashant. 4.9 stars on Amazon, number 1 bestseller in addiction and recovery. In this book, Acharya Prashant shatters all misconceptions about happiness jargons like loving unconditionally and living in the present. He explains how what we commonly understand as happiness exists only in the backdrop of sadness, and what man is really looking for is not just happiness but anand, an unconditional joy free from both happiness and sadness. Discarding multiple myths that burden our consciousness, the book draws from scriptures like the Gita and the Upanishad, revealing the true meaning of Ananda. If you have the courage to question your deep-rooted beliefs and enter an unfathomable territory beyond the duality of happiness and sadness, this book is for you. Published by HarperCollins India, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 224. Next on the list in the fiction category, we recommend a rather warm and uplifting novel, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. 4.5 stars on Amazon and 4.3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Debut Sunday Times bestseller and Costa First Novel Book Award winner. The novel is set in contemporary Scotland and is on the themes of depression and childhood trauma. The book is written in a light style, which helps to soften its heavy subject matter. Eleanor works in an office, is shunned by her co-workers, and leads an isolated life. This starts to change when two men enter her life, her new co-worker Raymond and a singer she encounters at a music concert. Eleanor becomes infatuated with the singer and begins to experiment with changing her style, even as her friendship with Raymond deepens. Eleanor is an endearing character, as is Raymond. As their love story unfolds, it is heartening to find that even someone as damaged as Eleanor is able to find someone who loves her. Published by HarperCollins, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 237. The next book under this category is Sparring Partners by John Grisham, 3.9 stars on Amazon and 3.8 on Goodreads. The Sparring Partners is the story of the Malloy brothers, Kirk and Rusty, two successful young lawyers who inherited a once prosperous firm when its founder, their father, was sent to prison. Kirk and Rusty loathe each other and speak to each other only when necessary. As the firm disintegrates, the resulting fiasco falls into the lap of Diantha Bradshaw, the only person the partners trust. Can she save the Malloys? Or does she take a stand for the first time in her career and try to save herself? Read the book and find out. Published by Hodder and Stoughton, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 325. The last recommendation in this category we have Tom Clancy Chain of Command by Mark Cameron, 4.6 stars on Amazon and 4.5 stars on Goodreads. Chain of Command is yet another classic Tom Clancy thriller. It is a story of a shadowy billionaire who uses his fortune to further his corrupt ambitions. Along the way, he's toppled democratically elected governments and exacerbated divisions within stable nations. The competitors he destroyed, the people he's hurt, they are all just marks on a ledger. Now he's ready to implement his most ambitious plan of all. There's only one force standing in his way: President Jack Ryan. Read the book to find out how he executes his ruthless plan. Published by G.P. Putnam's Sons, cost of the Kindle edition is Rs 602. With this, we have come to a close for this month's edition of the BookKey. In our last edition, in our trivia section, we had asked you this question: which novel introduces us to the characters such as Arthur Dent? And the correct answer is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The question for this edition is: Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere is set in an underground world of which city? Let us know your answers in the comment section below, and we will reveal the answer in our next edition. If you found this video informative, give us a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to Endeavor Careers for our upcoming videos. We will be delighted to know if you found our book recommendations informative and interesting. See you next time with more of such specially curated book recommendations for you. Until then, dream, endeavor, achieve, and happy reading.